It's supposed to be the height of summer. The beaches should be packed. The streets buzzing with languages from every corner of the globe. Theme parks overflowing with families. Tour guides shouting over bus engines. Flights landing every few minutes. Hotels booked solid. But this year, it's different. Eerily different. Across 5 of the most iconic American destinations, Hawaii, Florida, Maine, Nevada, and California, you can feel the change. Like someone turned the volume down on summer. The crowds are thinner. The energy is low. And for many businesses that rely on tourism to survive, the absence is not just noticeable, it's catastrophic. If you're still watching, you know the truth matters, so join us, subscribe, and keep it alive. This isn't just a quiet season. It's a warning, one that's rippling across the entire U.S. tourism industry. Let's start in Hawaii, a place once synonymous with paradise. For decades, Hawaii didn't need to advertise much. It sold itself sun-drenched beaches, volcanic hikes, luau's, coral reefs. It was a dream vacation for millions of Americans and a beloved retreat for Japanese and South Korean travelers. But in 2025, paradise feels half empty. Hotel rooms go unsold. Rental cars sit unused. Souvenir shops report drops in sales not seen since the pandemic. The problem? Cost. A family of 4 flying from Chicago or Dallas now faces airfare that could buy a used car. Hotels have raised rates. Restaurants are charging premium prices. And basic necessities like groceries, already high due to Hawaii geography, have pushed travelers to reconsider the value. Then there's the missing international visitors. Many Japanese and South Korean tourists, once a constant in places like Waikiki, have simply stopped coming. The reasons vary: visa policies, economic pressure home, or a shift toward closer, cheaper destinations like Thailand or Vietnam. And domestic travelers? They're going elsewhere. Why spend thousands on a week in Hawaii when Europe, Mexico, or even a cruise offers more for less? Then we look at Florida, a state that built much of its economy on sunshine and spectacle. From Disney World to Miami Beach, Florida has long been a magnet. But this summer, something's broken. First, the weather. Brutal heat waves. Repeated storm warnings. Flooding in places that used to be dry. The climate is changing fast, and tourists are noticing. Second, safety concerns. From aggressive political rhetoric to culture wars playing out in school districts and theme parks, Florida has become a divisive destination. For international travelers, the headlines matter. Families from Europe or Canada are thinking twice before booking trips. LGBTQ plus travelers in particular have voiced discomfort, choosing destinations where they feel safer, more welcome. Even U.S. travelers are changing their minds. And for a state that thrives on tourism dollars, even a 10% drop in visitors can have a devastating ripple effect, especially for small, family-run businesses off the main tourist trail. Now, Maine may seem like an odd inclusion here. After all, it's not a flashy tourist powerhouse like Florida or California, but it's long been a beloved summer escape for Northeasterners. Think lobster rolls, rocky coasts, charming small towns, quiet luxury, the slow life. But in 2025, Maine is struggling too. It's not because people don't want to go. It's because people can't afford to go. The cost of everything, from inns to gas stations to boutique cafes, has skyrocketed. It's become a playground for the wealthy. And middle-class families who once made Maine their annual escape are now going elsewhere. Some are crossing the border into Canada, where they say they can get better value for their money, a friendlier reception, and cleaner infrastructure. Others are exploring rural New England, or even hopping on cheap flights to Portugal and Spain. Maine didn't see it coming. It overestimated how much people were willing to pay for rustic. And now, its summer season is fizzling, replaced by a creeping anxiety that it may never fully bounce back. Then there's Nevada, where the fall of Las Vegas may be the most shocking of all. Once the gold standard for entertainment, Las Vegas in 2025 is struggling with something no one expected: boredom. Younger generations aren't flocking to slot machines and roulette tables the way their parents did. Online betting has changed the game. Why fly to Vegas when you can gamble on your phone? But it's not just about casinos. The shows are getting more expensive. food, and drink prices have soared. And the thrill of Vegas is starting to feel outdated. International visitors, particularly from Asia and Europe, have dropped off significantly. The loss of conventions, high-spending groups, and business travel has turned Vegas into a shell of itself during weekdays. For a city built on constant motion, the slowdown is alarming. Locals feel it. Taxi drivers talk about ghost nights. Bartenders have shorter shifts. Hotels quietly lower their rates while pretending all is well. It's not. Vegas isn't dying, but it's aging fast. And so far, no one's figured out how to reverse it. Lastly, we turn to California, the crown jewel of American tourism. San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Yosemite, Malibu. California has it all on paper. But reality paints a different picture. Tourists still come, yes, but not in the numbers or with the enthusiasm they once did. Why? Price, first and foremost. Hotels in Los Angeles routinely cross $400 a night. Parking is nearly impossible in major cities. Gas? Forget about it. Then public safety concerns. Reports of property crime, visible homelessness, and erratic public behavior in tourist districts have scared off many first-time visitors. Families choosing where to go with young kids aren't ignoring those stories. They're reacting to them, and they're reacting with their wallets. Then there's congestion. California's iconic drives, like Highway 1 or the Pacific Coast Highway, have turned into bumper-to-bumper gridlock during high season. Yosemite requires advance reservations just to get in. Lines for attractions stretch longer than ever. It's no longer about the experience. It's about the effort. And more people are deciding it's not worth it. So what does all this mean? Are people simply traveling less? Actually, no. Global travel is up. People are still going places. They're just choosing different places. Places where they feel safer, where their money stretches further, where the culture feels more open, the experience more rewarding. Countries like Mexico, Thailand, Portugal, Vietnam, Canada, Croatia are all benefiting. In many ways, the U.S. has priced itself out of the travel market. Or worse, it's lost the imagination of the traveler. What was once exciting and novel has become expensive, predictable, and, for some, hostile. And it's not just economic. It's cultural. For the first time in decades, the U.S. is no longer the default summer vacation. It's a choice, and not always a favorable one. This isn't just a tourism story. It's an economic one. Entire towns in Hawaii depend on tourists for survival. Dozens of cities in Florida rely on summer traffic to fund their local infrastructure. California's hotel tax revenue props up school budgets and city planning. If visitors stop coming, the shortfall hits everyone, not just the tour guides and shuttle drivers, but the schools, the libraries, the first responders. This is about communities, about identity. Because when the visitors stop showing up, places start asking, who are we without them? And right now, too many places don't like the answer. So where are the tourists? They're still out there, but they're watching, calculating, choosing differently. The question is, will these iconic states evolve in time? Or will they wake up one summer to find their peak season has passed them by for good? Because this isn't just a quiet summer. This could be the start of something much louder, something irreversible. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's the headlines. Maybe it's the creeping sense that the U.S. just isn't what it used to be. Whatever it is, one thing is clear. The tourists are choosing not to come. And even more concerning, Americans themselves are choosing to leave. It's one thing for international visitors to pass on a trip to Los Angeles or Orlando. But when American families, retirees, and digital nomads are actively booking vacations, and even permanent moves, to places like Costa Rica, Greece, or Montreal instead of Miami or Maui, that's not a trend. That's an exodus. And it's forcing America to ask a painful question. Has the dream vacation become a domestic disappointment? Consider what travel used to mean. A trip to Hawaii meant family memories carved into sunsets. A California road trip meant Pacific breeze and freedom. A Vegas weekend meant fun, unpredictability, neon escapes. Florida was Disney and beaches. Maine with serenity, lobster rolls, and coastal towns that made you feel like time had slowed. Now, now Hawaii feels overpriced. California feels dangerous. Vegas feels exhausted. Florida feels tense. Maine feels forgotten. Here's the deeper truth. Tourism isn't just about flights and hotels. It's about feeling welcome, feeling safe, feeling like your money is well spent and your time respected. And in 2025, the U.S. is failing on all three fronts. Let's start with safety. Ask a group of international travelers what worries them about visiting the U.S., and you're likely to hear it. Gun violence, aggressive policing, unpredictable social unrest. Whether those fears are overblown or grounded in reality doesn't matter. Perception is reality in tourism. If tourists feel unsafe walking the streets of San Francisco or Miami at night, they'll simply go elsewhere. No marketing campaign can outshine a parent's instinct to protect their child. No cruise deal can override a honeymooner's desire to relax without fear. And for the U.S., that's a problem, because safety, once assumed, is now in doubt. Then there's value. A burger, fries, and a drink at a beachside cafe in Santa Monica? $32. A mid-range hotel in Honolulu for 3 nights? Over $1,000. Tickets for 2 days at a major Florida theme park? More than a week's rent in many cities. Add that to airfare, car rentals, parking, tips, and taxes, and suddenly that domestic vacation costs more than a 10-day trip to Italy, with better food, better transit, and no tipping confusion. It's no longer about luxury. It's about logic. More travelers are looking at their bank accounts and asking, why spend more to get less? And they're right to ask. Let's talk about welcome. It used to be that tourists arrived in American cities and were greeted with a smile, a map, and a sense of curiosity, a shared belief that this is the place to be. Now, too often, tourists are met with frustration. Frantic service workers who are underpaid and burned out. Rideshare drivers with stories of crime, inflation, and constant struggle. Locals who see travelers not as guests, but as gentrifiers or outsiders. Even airport experiences have soured. Longer lines, delayed flights, lost luggage, security screenings that feel more like interrogations and safety measures, all while being charged more for less legroom and no food. And still, America clings to the belief that it's the greatest travel destination on earth. But the numbers don't lie. Tourism is down. Reviews are brutal. And for many, the magic is gone. The implications go far beyond beaches and selfies. Entire economies are built around tourism. In California, it props up small businesses, local governments, even school funding through taxes. In Florida, it's a cornerstone of employment. In Hawaii, it's the foundation of the private sector. When visitors disappear, it's not just hotels that hurt. It's servers, shopkeepers, janitors, street performers, bus drivers, museum curators, lifeguards, teachers, nurses, and yes, taxpayers. And what fills the vacuum when tourists leave? Nothing. Empty streets, silent attractions, a slow decay that creeps block by block. But let's be honest, some of this was avoidable. Years of chasing luxury travelers, those willing to pay anything, have left middle-class families behind. The obsession with squeezing every dime, resort fees, parking charges, surcharges, upsells, has turned vacations into stress tests. The erosion of public infrastructure, bad roads, overcrowded transit, unreliable power grids, makes even simple travel feel difficult. And the political chaos, the headlines, the culture wars, they don't just play on TV. They echo through airport terminals and hotel lobbies. They color everything. A place that's politically unstable doesn't just lose investors. It loses travelers. Meanwhile, other countries are watching and learning. They're simplifying their visa processes, investing in rail networks, keeping prices competitive, training hospitality workers, marketing themselves not as luxury destinations, but as livable experiences. Thailand, Portugal, Mexico, Vietnam, Croatia, Canada, they're not chasing American tourists. They're catching them because they understand something too many U.S. cities have forgotten. Travel isn't just about the destination. It's about how you make people feel. So what now? Does the U.S. tourism industry recover? Maybe, but not by doing more of the same. Here's what needs to change. Rebuild trust. Make safety a priority without creating fear. Invest in visible cleanliness, reliable transit, calm streets. Make tourists feel safe without over-policing communities. Price honestly. Stop punishing visitors with hidden fees and unpredictable pricing. Give people value, not sticker shock. Welcome like you mean it. Train workers. Pay them well. Reward kindness and curiosity. Make hospitality a respected profession again. Invest in infrastructure. If roads are broken, fix them. If airports are crumbling, rebuild them. If the cities are dirty, clean them. Tourists notice these things. Tell a better story. Right now, America's global story is filled with division, anger, and decline. That needs to change. Visitors come not just for landscapes, but for the promise of a place. That promise must be restored. Until then, the signs are clear. Tourism will continue to shrink in places that ignore the warning and grow in places that listen, adapt, and act. Because the truth is, summer isn't canceled. People are traveling. They're exploring the world. They're just not doing it in the same places they used to. And unless Hawaii, Florida, California, Nevada, and Maine take a hard look in the mirror, their peak season will soon become a relic of the past. A memory, like a postcard that never got mailed. What we're seeing now isn't a blip. It's not a post-COVID adjustment. It's not a random summer slump. It's a slow, deliberate erosion of reputation, of reliability, of relevance. And the United States, once the world's #1 dream destination, is letting it happen. Let's look a little deeper at what's unfolding in each of these 5 states, not as isolated tourism markets, but as mirrors for a broader truth, that when a country stops listening to its visitors, it starts losing them. Hawaii is the perfect example of paradise priced out of reach. It's not just airfare. It's not just hotels. It's the feeling you get as a tourist when everything, from sunscreen to sushi, costs double what you expected. It's a look of frustration on a local's face when they're stuck in traffic behind rental cars. It's the quiet resentment growing between those who live on the islands and those who visit them. The truth is, Hawaii has depended on tourism for so long, it never asked whether it could sustain it. Now, with tourists choosing Bali or the Maldives over the Aloha State, it's forced to reckon with a difficult question. What happened to paradise when no one could afford to visit it? Florida, meanwhile, is being pulled apart from the inside. Once a magnet for families and snowbirds alike, it now wears a strange dual identity. Theme parks and tension. Beautiful beaches and polarizing headlines. For every joyful Disney ad, there's a news clip of a protest, a ban, a bill that makes people wonder, am I welcome here? Tourism doesn't thrive in confusion. And Florida, for all its palm trees and parades, has become a question mark. Add in the storms, the insurance chaos, and the rising sea levels creeping up its coasts, and you start to see why so many travelers are pausing their plans, or canceling them altogether. Then there's Maine, quiet, coastal, quaint. A place that never chased the spotlight, but earned it anyway. Yet here, too, the air feels different. And it's not just the salty breeze. It's the tension between rising costs and dwindling returns. The sense that even nature, once free and abundant, now comes with a price tag. Local inns are empty midweek. Restaurants that once had 2-hour waits now seat walk-ins. Canadians, who used to flood border towns each summer, are opting to stay home or explore their own maritimes. Maine priced itself for the elite, and in doing so, lost the middle. Nevada, specifically Las Vegas, is in an identity crisis. Once proud of its success, Vegas now looks tired. The neon still flashes. The music still blasts. But under the surface, something's missing. The crowds are quieter. The blackjack tables aren't full. And the high rollers? They're spending elsewhere or not spending at all. Because Vegas forgot that glitz without soul is just noise. Younger travelers aren't just looking for spectacle. They want authenticity, connection, experiences they can't replicate online. And if a city built on thrill can't evolve beyond its cliches, it risks becoming one. And finally, California, the state that symbolized dreams, freedom, reinvention, the Golden Gate, the Hollywood sign, the redwoods, the surf. And yet today, those dreams feel increasingly distant. Visitors see the tent encampments outside luxury hotels. They get stuck in traffic for hours trying to reach a vista that's overrun. They spend $300 on a hotel room that smells like bleach and disappointment. They're told the state is back to normal, but nothing feels normal because California's crisis isn't just economic, it's existential. It doesn't know who it's for anymore. Tech millionaires? Tourists? Transplants? Locals being priced out of their own cities? It's trying to be everything to everyone, and in doing so, it's becoming less for all. Here's the hard truth. The decline in tourism across these 5 states is a symptom, not the disease. It's a reflection of a deeper failure. Not just a policy, but a vision. For too long, tourism in the U.S. has relied on legacy, on reputation, on assumption that people will keep coming, assumption that the brand of America is enough, assumption that a postcard view outweighs a poor experience. But the world has changed. Travelers have changed. And many of them are done with overpriced hotels, crumbling airports, confusing tipping systems, and the underlying anxiety of being in a place that feels simultaneously chaotic and indifferent. They want to feel something else. Welcomed, respected, safe, seen. And right now, many U.S. cities aren't delivering that. So what happens next? Here's the terrifying part. Nothing needs to happen for this collapse to continue. Tourism doesn't implode all at once. It fades. First go the families, looking for better value. Then the international travelers, following advisories and headlines. Then the conventions. Then the honeymooners. Then the influencers. And by the time cities realize what's missing, they're hosting concerts no one attends and festivals no one can afford. But it doesn't have to end this way. This isn't a prophecy. It's a pivot point. And 5 things can turn the tide. A genuine hospitality reset. Not performative. Not transactional. Real training, better wages, and human-centered service. Turn tourism work back into a respected career, not a survival job. Affordability as strategy, not charity. Everyone deserves a vacation, not just the wealthy. Focus on real value. Clean hotels at honest prices, local transport that works, food that doesn't gouge, safety through dignity, not over-policing. Address homelessness with compassion and investment, not eviction sweeps and PR bandages. Create urban spaces where everyone, visitor or resident, feels secure. Infrastructure investment. Fix the roads. Expand rail. Modernize airports. Build the kind of public space that inspires rather than exhausts. Rebranding based on experience, not image. Don't just sell the beach. Sell the feeling, the culture, the people. That's what travelers remember, and that's what they'll return for.